So in this webinar we're going to speak about, is there such a thing as good or bad foods, and are you stuck on labelling foods as good or bad, healthy or unhealthy? Now the only thing that's kind of healthy or unhealthy, good or bad, is your relationship with food, and we're going to speak about it more in this webinar. So in reality there's no such thing as kind of good or bad foods, not least between a single food or a snack or a meal, and it defines your entire relationship with kind of food or eating. So we need to get away from this kind of black or white type of thinking that an apple's good and kind of chocolate's bad, because it has been linked to kind of greater likelihood of failing to stick with healthy eating kind of long-term goals. So if you've got foods on a kind of restricted or no-go kind of area, certain foods, then what they're saying is that you'll find it hard to kind of stick to healthy eating goals kind of long term. So let's dive in and talk about it. So for example, studies have shown that they have strongly agreed, if people have strongly agreed with this kind of statement that we've got here, it's more likely that they're going to fail in their attempts to stick to kind of healthy eating goals. So I view my attempts to diet as either successes or failures. I think of food as either good or bad, and when dieting, if I eat something that I have not planned on eating, then I think I have failed. And that is quite very common, because what people will do is they'll put the kind of certain foods on a restricted kind of list, a no-go area, and then what they'll do is they'll kind of follow a kind of regimented healthy eating, as they redeem the words healthy eating plan. And if they then eat something that's not on the list of foods or in the plan that they have gave themselves, then what they'll find is once they do eat something that kind of foods that's on that unwanted kind of no-go area kind of list, then what they'll find is that they'll redeem themselves as a failure for eating something that wasn't kind of planned in or part of the kind of diet plan. So they redeem themselves as a failure, and that they have already failed on the kind of eating, the healthy eating. So try and get rid and start to try and ditch this rigid way of thinking about food. Healthy, so we need to get ditching that rigid kind of thinking about food, and healthy eating helps us to create a happy, healthier, more sustainable diet as we release ourselves from the guilt and the self-sabotage. So that's when we come back to that kind of restricted list again. When people eat something that has been on that kind of restricted list, they will find that they kind of sabotage themselves with kind of guilt. So this is the statement here: I have eaten some chocolate now, I may as well eat the whole bar and then a tub of ice cream too. And that seems to be what happens, is people, they'll put foods on a restricted list, they'll try and eat healthy, and if they do eat something that they redeem unhealthy that's on the kind of restricted list, what they'll then just or say to themselves is that they have failed. They'll self-sabotage themselves, they'll feel with guilt, and then what they'll do is they'll give in and just basically will end up with this kind of full-on binge. And it seems to happen. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll try and eat well, restrict themselves of crazy amount of calories come Monday to Thursday or Monday to Friday, and then when it comes to the kind of weekend, they overindulge and then kind of fill themselves with self-sabotage and guilt, and then they start trying to eat again, healthy again on Monday. And that's not the way we should be doing it. We should be removing foods from certain lists. There's no good or bad, and we should be able to kind of control if it's, and I'm going to mention now, it's like everything that we do should be in moderation. So in moderation, if we banish inflexible rules and chocolate isn't bad or wrong, and then what we can do is we can enjoy some of it without first eating a pile of nuts, fruit, biscuits, popcorn, whatever you're going to binge on, because that's what we're trying to stop here. This kind of flexible diet, there's no good or bad. If you decide to eat a bar of chocolate, then so be it. But it's what you do before and after it as well. It's that, like, eat the bar of chocolate. I've already went off my plan, so I might just as well eat a pile of nuts, eating fruit, eat biscuits, eat popcorn, whatever basically comes your way. We eat less food in total, and we eat more of the foods that we really enjoy. And that's this kind of flexible approach. So eat good, feel good. So eating intuitively, giving ourselves unconditional permission to eat what we want, when we want, eating for physical rather than emotional reasons. So we'll find quite a lot of people, and that's when it comes back to that kind of self-sabotage and that guilt. So you've ate something that's not on the list and you feel that guilt, and then basically you binge out because you have you start to eat for more kind of emotional kind of reasons. And so that's what we should do. We should eat what we want, when we want, eating for physical reasons rather than emotional reasons, and acting on our hunger and fulfillment or fullness cues. This has been linked to improve your psychological health, and in studies has improved blood pressure and cholesterol levels, along with improved dietary intake. So rather than just eating for no reason, eating for your kind of hunger and fullness cues, also this kind of eat good, feel good. If you look at the kind of foods we've got up here in this corner, these foods are kind of more nutritional value. They're going to make you feel fuller for longer. They're going to make you feel good about yourself. You know what it's like once you eat kind of foods that are high in trans fats or high in sugar. You don't feel the urge to go and run a 10k, whereas this kind of food at the top here will allow you to kind of get that good balance. When you feel good about yourself, you kind of eat good, and again, get away from that term, but you feel that you want to eat foods that are higher in nutritional value, that have more minerals, that have more vitamins, that have more benefit. And again, it's all about looking after your kind of health. Not only will this allow you to have this more psychological kind of health, getting away from that kind of good or bad, and knowing that you're not eating for kind of emotional reasons. You're eating more for hunger and fulfillment, and getting the goodness from any type of food that you eat. So freedom, so food freedom, the more popular benefit, it actually allows us to settle into a kind of happy middle ground rather than swinging like a pendulum from regimented kind of healthy eating rules to hell with it, I'm eating anything and everything about. So it's that kind of eating good or eating bad. Stuck on a restricted diet, or I've messed up the diet, I'm just, who cares, I'm just going to eat whatever I want. Find that fine balance between the two. As I mentioned in the previous one, it's anything and everything in moderation, basically. So yes, eating the wrong food is sometimes the right choice, because in doing so we kind of break that mould of the kind of black and white rules that pushes further away from healthy, relaxed relationship with food and eating. So yes, it's fine, you can eat whatever you really want, but again, it's all about, if she eats this, she doesn't dip in and she eats the biscuit tin, she doesn't go and eat a packet of crisps. Again, it's everything in moderation. Again, it comes down to what your goals and what you want to achieve as well. So be realistic, think about things and do it in moderation. So cheat day, try and get away from that term as well. This is a term that kind of bodybuilders have used, and it's not a great term at all, because we don't need to use it, we don't need to label it a cheat meal or a cheat day, right? You have decided that this is what you want to do, this is what you want to eat, that's fine. So why label it as a kind of cheat day or a cheat meal? You are not a 5-year-old child, and you don't know to be told that foods are good or bad, that it's a cheat or it's a cheat day. You should be able to know better when you are over consuming or if you're gaining weight and you are in control of what you eat or what you want. That's why I've left this blank here, because you are in control on what you want to achieve. You're in control of what you want to eat. You're in control. You are a grown adult and you can make choices for yourself. We can just kind of guide you on the path and kind of help you, but you should be in control of your emotions, your eating, what you want to achieve, what your goals are, what you want to achieve, and what you basically put in your mouth. So the calories. So both of these pictures basically show you that there's a 1,300 calorie. They're both 1,300 calories. Sorry, and then they're more than half. So that's more than half of somebody's kind of caloric intake. So for example, mine's is 2,200 at the moment. That's basically half of my caloric intake in both pictures. Picture one is just one meal, so that's just a big tasty meal. The burger, the fries, and a drink. And in picture two is a numerous amounts of meals and snacks. Now what you'll see in there as well is you've got kind of a lot more nutritional value: carbs, proteins, fats, minerals, vitamins, small kind of bits of chocolate in there as well. Just so much more than what you'll get from this one kind of meal. And that's the kind of thing that you need to look at yourself, and if you are going to be someone who wants to go out and eat a big tasty meal, and a large big tasty meal, just be aware of your kind of caloric intake, because that's what's going to cause you weight. If you have this and you keep continuing to eat like that, just imagine you have that for breakfast, lunch and dinner, right? That's 4,000 calories. 4,000 calories in 3 meals, whereas this is a full day of eating and you are getting more nutritional value, and you're still able to have that bar of chocolate and fit it in within your full eating as well. So picture 2 holds more nutritional value and it still has a few items of chocolate in there as well. So this is what you'll need to be aware of, and as I said, it's your path, it's your goals, it's what you want to achieve, but be wise enough and you're old enough to decide what you want to do. Now, as I mentioned before, there's no good or bad food. You should not have this kind of emotional guilt if you eat something that you haven't planned on eating. And one meal or if you want to redeem it as bad food, is not going to send you off track. You're not going to gain a crazy amount of weight from eating something that you haven't planned on doing. Now, as mentioned, it's everything in moderation, and again, be aware of the goals that you want to achieve that are in hand as well. So if you want it, then you need to go get it. You might need to make some sacrifices, but you are still in control. You can still eat good and bad food, if you want to call it that. Get away from that kind of mindset. So I hope that's helped. Get an understanding of there's no good or bad foods, that you don't eat on emotion, you eat on kind of hunger and fulfillment. You try and get foods with kind of more nutritional value because you can eat more of them than you can with less of them. But it might be that you have a social event coming up, or you want to have that kind of freedom, and don't restrict yourself of certain foods as well. So I hope that's been a help, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.